Despite Assassin's Creed Mirage being the next title release for the Assassin's Creed franchise, it's not the one that fans are most excited for. They're in fact excited for the one which is supposed to follow this within 2024, and at the minute it's called Assassin's Creed Codename Red. The reason for this is because the setting is something which fans have been asking for since the very beginning. I even remember it being mentioned back when Assassin's Creed Revelations was released, and it was announced that this was going to be the last game including Ezio, so that there will be a new assassin within the future titles. And it was at that point where everyone started to look away from Italy and said, hey, what about feudal Japan? And of course, since then, Ubisoft has pushed it off, and in some cases they've even said that it just would not work. But in recent years, they've had a bit of a change. And now we do know that this game within this setting is now within development, and Ubisoft have even gone as far to push out a teaser. They released this as part of Ubisoft Forward back in 2022. So we know that it is going to be happening, and on top of that, we've even started to hear a few leaks. Now, of course, with any type of leak, you need to take it with a pinch of salt, because sometimes it comes from verified sources, sometimes it doesn't, and even when it does come from reliable sources, it's still not 100% going to happen, because games go through an iteration process, which simply means everything is constantly changing. But with all of that said, it's still fun to talk about. So the first thing that we should mention is that according to leaks, players will see both a shinobi as well as a samurai. As there's two different playable characters, it means that you will be able to select them. It's not going to be the case of where we're going into Assassin's Creed Mirage, where you will only be able to play with Basim. Basim is the only protagonist. He's the only person that you can go into and play with. You're not going to be able to select the different versions of him, whether it be male or female. It's going to be a linear story from start to finish. But with Codename Red, from the leaks that we've seen so far, there will be two playable characters. And this will also give you the ability, considering that they are two completely different playstyles, for you to master both, which will hopefully give it a bit more replayability. There have also been a few slight additional details on this, so the samurai will be a female character, which is supposed to be what we see within the official reveal trailer, or at least the teaser. And a shinobi is said to be a refugee from Africa who adopted the learnings of the creed of the assassins itself. In addition to a very basic background, it's also been said that Assassin's Creed Codename Red is going to put a huge focus on stealth. Now, if you're not familiar with what Ubisoft have been trying to do over the last couple of years, they've changed completely the linear story from what Assassin's Creed used to be to then suddenly being this massive open world RPG. Assassin's Creed Origins was the start of this, and it performed relatively well, but unfortunately Assassin's Creed Odyssey didn't have the same fate, and with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Ubisoft tried to please way too many people. They tried to include the RPG elements from the likes of Origins, their new style, but then they also wanted to bring in a narrative. They also wanted to make sure that the parkour was perfect. They wanted to make sure that the combat was perfect. And the issue is not wanting to deliver a good game, but when you try to do everything all in just one single instant, trying to please everyone with one single game, it's just not possible, especially considering that the old Assassin's Creed fans, which like the linear approach, are not going to like the RPG style, but you've tried to blend it all into one. Too many cooks spoil the broth is a perfect representation of what happened, because then Assassin's Creed Valhalla had parkour, which was pretty decent, but unfortunately because of the location and its massive open world, it wasn't dense enough for you to use those parkour abilities. But because they spent so much time trying to focus on the parkour, the combat, all of the nitty-gritty stuff with your character, they didn't really have time to fill the rest of the world, but they wanted to provide a massive open world, so it ended up just feeling empty. And because they're trying to go for this RPG style of game, they really need to drag it out so that XP, boss battles, all of this different items that you're able to gather, but they also wanted to provide a story. Yet again, becomes an issue because you now have to drag out that story to be as long as possible, just so that those RPG elements actually make sense to be part of the game. And this made the story feel just way too long. It was a 50-60 hour game. And the reason that I'm explaining all of this is because now Ubisoft are trying to put sole focus on a key component which they believe that their fans enjoy. So what I mean by this is instead of Ubisoft trying to do everything within just one game, they're trying to tailor each specific game to a specific audience. So with Assassin's Creed Mirage, it's dedicated to those fans which were original fans of the franchise back with Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, Revelations, all of that before the RPG style that they try to implement with Origins. So their priority is to go back to the roots, provide a linear experience, and also bring in some elements from some of the more popular titles such as combat as well as parkour from the best titles that we've had over the years. With Assassin's Creed Codename Red, it sounds like they're going back to the idea of you being able to have more freedom in the choice in which you go, but the focus point is going to be stealth. These leaks even follow all of this up to say that Ubisoft Quebec, which is the studio behind Assassin's Creed Codename Red, has decided to take a Splinter Cell or even a Hitman approach, if you would like to describe it that way, to Assassin's Creed Codename Red. There's going to be emphasis on hiding bodies, hiding in tall trees, extinguishing lights so your shadows are not spotted. All of these are apparently current features. Now, of course, and I do want to put emphasis on this, Ubisoft has not confirmed any of this. These are just leaks. But if these leaks are true, it does sound like they're following up on Assassin's Creed Mirage with a pretty solid game. Now, for transparency, I'm actually somewhat excited for Assassin's Creed Mirage, even though Ubisoft hasn't revealed any gameplay. But what they're saying is the right thing, and if they do execute it well, it would be suited for a player like me. But I'm also really liking the sound of Assassin's Creed Codename Red if all of this is true. I do believe with everything that we've talked about within this video, with Ubisoft focusing on one core audience is actually a good thing. It's so much better than just doing these massive open worlds trying to please everyone and ultimately pleasing no one. The only other worry that I have is that there are multiple Assassin's Creed titles in development. There's Assassin's Creed Mirage, Assassin's Creed Codename Red, Assassin's Creed Nexus, Assassin's Creed Jade, Hex, Invictus, Nebula, Raid, Echoes, and even Nexus 2. There is honestly so many titles which are reported to be in development. And with Ubisoft in early of 2023, they did cancel a number of projects, even delaying a couple, simply because they had way too many games in development. And with Assassin's Creed itself as a franchise, there's a total of 10 that we somewhat know about, either it's being confirmed or even been leaked so far. With there potentially being even more on top of this, and of course we can't forget that there is also Assassin's Creed Infinity, which is not a game itself, but is an Assassin's Creed hub where all of these other titles will be an umbrella, which by the way, Assassin's Creed Red is supposed to be the first of those games which are under that Assassin's Creed Infinity hub. And that's more of what I'm worried about from Ubisoft itself. On paper, Assassin's Creed Codename Red sounds amazing. I know there's still very little details, but if this could be executed well, it's got a great setting, it has options in which way you want to go in terms of selecting the characters you want to play with, and also it has a very good focus. Them focusing on stealth itself is honestly what makes Assassin's Creed Assassin's Creed. We just need to wait for Mirage to release, and then we'll probably start getting some trailers, announcements, maybe even some gameplay. Right now, it's scheduled, or it's internally scheduled to release a fall of 2024. But in all honesty, because we still haven't heard a thing about Assassin's Creed Mirage in terms of gameplay, and was originally scheduled to release, or yet again, internally scheduled to release at some time within June, if you believe the leaks, it's probably not going to happen considering we haven't had anything since. So we could very well see Codename Red 2025, maybe even later than that, at this rate with how many games Ubisoft are delaying. But with everything that we've gone through within this video, the leaks that have come through, and also Ubisoft as a whole with what they're doing with the Assassin's Creed franchise, Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, then I highly recommend clicking our next video where we actually go through some of the leaks which recently happened for Assassin's Creed Mirage. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you will enjoy that video. So click that and I'll be over there to guide you through absolutely everything.